you go to Austria, or you go to the States, and you can you sort of finish your training, you mooch off into the nearest town, or the nearest, or the mall, or whatever. And obviously, it was more difficult to do that in Botswana. So the lads were on top of each other for a long, long time. And I think, in a strange way, that sort of that worked a little bit, because it forced us all. We had to socialize. We had to get on. We had to find things to do. Just sped the process up for everything to communicate with each other, find your connections. I think I don't know if it was the environment or whatever it was, but I think it was a good group of people, good lads, good staff. And we were chucked together for 2 weeks. So I think it would have naturally happened over time anyway. I just think Botswana and some of the experiences and some of the things that we did there would have just accelerated the process. The games were. I was talking about this the other day with someone, just describing the second game that we had. I mean, things like that force you to stick together, and you had a shared experience straight off the bat. So, it helps when you've been successful and you've won. I think you can look back at that with hindsight, and there's a danger you can look at it through rose tinted glasses and say, "Oh, this was," but it was a good trip. It was a really good trip. And yeah, I think we were so on top of each other. We had to. I'm thinking of things now. We did a run. It's where, I mean, Steve will claim credit for it, but we used to do this run that it was a 360 meter, and you had to get in a certain time. I think it was about 65 seconds or something. And you did one, and you could get in okay in one. I think we used to do them in sets of 6, and it was tough. By the time you got to 5 and 6, it was tough. You're struggling to get in, and so we used to do 6 sets. And we're in South Africa, and it's hot, and it's a tough run. We've trained in the morning, and we're finishing them off, and Flinty says something like dig in, lads, 2 more to go, or something like that. And Steve goes mental. Steve flies off at Flinty and says, I won't swear, but he'll say, you're not the coach. I'll tell you how many runs you're doing, not you. So I'm looking at Flinty. What have you done? We finish. I think there's like a 15-second break. Go again. I think we end up doing about 12 or 13 of these runs. But the lads are you get to a point where you just the lads all get together and you grit your teeth and you get angry at the gaffer rather than and it's a little thing, but by the time you've got through the 12 or 13 runs, you're a little bit closer together. You've got a shared experience. We the game against it wasn't the national team, it was the club team we played out there, but the game against the club team we played out there was, I think it's the only time I've ever been scared on the pitch, I think. Because I think you have I mean, I played in some bad games in non-league, but if it kicks off in non-league, someone's going to come in and break it up. He's thinking, we're just on our own here, right? No, nobody's coming to save us here. So we all had to look out and look after each other. The X Factor, I think people have probably talked about the X Factor thing before, where the lads are getting up and doing so we had all these things during the trip that sort of just bit by bit and just brings you closer. I think by the time we got back to England and training, we were a much closer, tighter group, ready to 1 or 2 nights out help. But yeah, the basis of it, and you wouldn't put everything down to it, but the base of it was that Botswana trip, which was a good trip.
Yeah, just briefly lingering on the Botswana trip. Am I right in thinking that Carly Osborne, I mean, he was on the recipient of a pretty horrific, I mean, tackle is probably a polite word. I mean, we had big plans for Carly Osborne, right? He was would maybe have rivaled Luke Ayling for that right centre-back spot. He certainly would have been a lot more involved had that tackle not happened. Do you remember that incident?
The tackle was horrendous. The tackle was horrific. And it cut him to the bone. And yeah, you feel for Aussie because obviously I don't know what the starting team would or wouldn't have been, but Aussie would have been right in contention. And it was difficult because once you were out of that team, it was hard to get back in because I think we'd lose 2 or 3 games that season. So yeah, it was difficult to get back in that team. But even that, like, I was on the. Did I play the first game? I had a little niggle in my calf. I was actually fine, but Steve didn't want me to play in Botswana, so I was sat on the bench. I was stripped. I was sat on the bench watching it, and like it was pretty wild. And he's gone to me, go on, calm it down. Just try and calm it down. And the first thing I did when the came on was this lad's tried to wipe me out about my hip. So I've ridden it, but I've landed on him. And as I've landed on him, I've grabbed him around the neck. And I'm throttling him. I'm shouting at him in English. I'm screaming at him in English. And because I've just seen Aussie get taken out as well. And I look over and I just see Steve like that. Yeah, he sent me on to calm it down about 10 seconds later. But it was.
That's experienced pro for you, isn't it? That's what you were brought in for, Wade.
Yeah, that's what I was brought in. But no, it was there was loads and loads of little bits that went on in that trip that just sort of, like I said, ends up just bit by bit bringing you closer.